welcome to I Can't Believe This Got Greenlit, a show where we discuss movies from our childhood, our nostalgia from watching them as kids, how they got made, and our experiences rewatching them as adults. I'm one of your hosts, Nick Warner, and joining me as always, Matthew Pelton.
Now, Nick,
Yes.
I know I usually start the show with like a funny, unrelated anecdote. I go on the whole thing. I always,
Yeah.
I always pretend to have it planned. I never do,
No, it's always off
but
the cuff.
it's always usually terrible as well. But I think for today, for the first time in a long time, we have such a cool guest that I think we should just get right into it.
I completely agree.
Right?
So, a little bit of background on not only Usman but also how this came to be. So, I was Matthew and I are both big AMC A-list fans. Like we go to the movies a lot. We go and see a bunch of
Warriors
stuff.
running.
I know. And I was scrolling through a few weeks ago, and I saw this film that was on AMC. It was called The Glassworker, and I was like, "Oh, this is really interesting." I'm a big anime fan, I'm a big animation fan, and I kind of went into the description, and it said like a film from Mano Animation Studios, and I was like, "What is this?" So I went and I did some more research, and I found like a true treasure trove of information, backstory, documentation of like the full process of not only the director, but also the studio and how it came to be. And it is an absolutely fascinating story. So without further ado, Usman Riaz is here, co-founder of Mano Animation Studios, director, animator, co-composer of The Glassworker. Usman, thank you so much for being here.
Woo!
Thank you very much for having me. I'm so glad you enjoyed the film. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. I'm sure you've done this a bazillion times, but I'd love for the audience if you could give a quick like elevator pitch of not only the film, but also the studio and how it came to be. Because I do think that your story is fascinating. And again, just so happy that you're here.
Thank you. The film took more than a decade to make, and it was one of the most difficult things I've ever done, but also one of the most worthwhile things I've ever done. And I got to work with a remarkable team, both in Pakistan and internationally, to bring it to life. A little bit about the film. I've said this so many times now,
Yeah.
so
I'm sure.
if it sounds rehearsed,
No, do
like it
it.
was
Do it up.
my TED talk, the TEDx talks I gave, but The
Mhm.
Glassworker is about two children from separate walks of life. One is an apprentice glassblower learning from his father in their artisan glass shop, and the other is a gifted violinist struggling to find her own unique voice on the instrument. And the film follows both characters through their formative years as the growing threat of war strains their relationship.
Yes.
Oh, you can tell
Uh,
you've done that quite a bit.
yeah.
That was
And
But it
yet,
tight.
yeah.
perfectly sums it up. Yeah. No, that's great. And again, just the story of how the animation studio came to be as the first ever, hand-drawn 2D animation studio in Pakistan. Like it's truly incredible and a true feat of animation. And in so many past episodes, Pelton has just heard me gush over the true artistry of animation and just how it comes to life and just the painstaking work that goes into it. And I'm just so fascinated with that. And yeah, it's just this was one of the it was awesome to just see a new film like this and have again all this documentation because I think similar to you, Isman, like I learned so much just watching
Yeah.
directors like kind of do their craft and a lot of the documentaries, especially about one of the the director that we're talking about today, has kind of given a lot of really good insight onto something that I don't think I will ever be able to do, but I'm just fascinated by watching people do it.
Definitely. And I think for me, um, just watching all of those behind the scenes documentaries, that's also why I wanted to document what we were doing.
For sure.
I knew that we were doing something that no one has really attempted to do before in our part of the world. And in my mind, I didn't think that it would take 10 years. I thought,
Hmm.
oh, it takes smaller studios 4 to 5 years. It takes the larger studios 3 to 4 years. It'll probably take me 6 to 7 years to make this movie. So I'll just document it, not knowing that it would take as long as it did. But the and also banking on the fact that it would be successful. Like in my mind, I was like that we have to get this movie done. There's no other option. Um, So filming everything, filming all the behind the scenes content, and really capturing that moment in time was very important to me.
Hmm.
And I'm very happy with the way that the entire documentary kind of panned out. And I worked with a wonderful team on editing that as well, because we had almost 10 years worth of footage. And that's a lot of footage to actually sift
Yeah,
through
I
and
can
find
imagine.
the right moments. So we were making the documentary while making the movie. And I think
Wow.
in the seventh year of production, where I thought, okay, the film will take 7 years, when I started off in 2014.
Hmm.
In the seventh year, I was like, what am I doing? Because this is only 60% complete. We still have another 40% to go. Um, and I've collected almost 7 years worth of behind the scenes footage with nothing to do with it, just
Hmm.
terabytes and terabytes of footage. So, uh, like the seventh year was probably, I would say, one of the darker years for me because I didn't know this was before we did the Annecy work in progress in 2022. So
Mm.
nothing really was happening. And we were just slowly just working towards the completion. But yeah, I would say capturing everything and getting done was one of the most remarkable moments for me because I, at one point, thought it would never get finished. So I'm very grateful.
Sure. Yeah, I'm curious. In that seventh year, did you have the team that was kind of showcased at that point in the documentary, like all of those people, or was it kind of a smaller team at that point?
It's interesting. The studio in Pakistan, it was about 1,700 square feet, not a really big studio by any
Sure.
means. And we could fit around 32 people at maximum capacity.
Hmm.
Apart from the core team, once I formed the team, was pretty much the same to the film's completion. But
Right.
everybody else, some people would come in for 3 years, some people would come in for 4 years. They'd work on various elements of the film. And then obviously life would happen, and some people would
Hmm.
have to go. Someone would come in to take their place. But I would say majority of the people that you see within the documentary were there pretty much, I would say 3, 4, 5 years in and stayed till completion.
Nice.
Um, because I worked on the film on my own for 2 years before actually working with a
Wow.
team. Um, and that itself was a huge learning experience. And again, I'm very grateful for it. And everybody was so motivated and shared the same vision to get this done. And it was also my responsibility to keep that, I would say, keep everybody motivated, keep everybody
Sure.
looking at what the larger picture is. Again, because we didn't have any peers. We didn't have anybody who we could look at and be like, oh, they've also done it, and these were their experiences. So let's just keep going. Because
Hmm.
Pakistan has uh, limited film infrastructure, the filmmakers that are there, and especially when I started, which was 2013, 2014, no real hand-drawn animation industry at all. There
Hmm.
were a few CG films made by some great filmmakers, and they were good, but no one had attempted to do anything like what we did. Because
Hmm.
for me, it was always, I want to make a feature film. I don't want to make a short film. And everybody throughout the journey in the beginning kept saying, "No, just make the short, make a short film. Then maybe one day you can make a feature film." I said, foolish, youthful naivety and stubbornness and ignorance said, no, I'm going to make the feature film. I don't care how difficult it is. And yeah, I learned just how difficult it would be. So there's some hubris in there. But again, I wouldn't change anything.
Definitely. We're Pelton and I are both smiling so goofily because we both are at that point in our lives where we have that we have that fire in us that we're like, well, let's just go make a feature. Let's go do it.
Yeah, enough of the shorts. Let's just go.
Yeah. So,
I I will say the one thing that all these behind the scenes documentaries and film featurettes, at the end of the day, they're selling the movie. Yeah, I mean,
mhm.
all of this material is a commercial for the film. They won't tell you how hard it is in that. Some indie films with their behind the scenes documentaries, of course, they talk about it. But for me, it just all seemed like this beautiful adventure that you go
Yeah.
on. I forgot that these behind the scenes documentaries are being funded by multi-million, multi-billion dollar studios. So there will be they will have a very different experience from what I will have if I venture out. So the one thing I will say is just be prepared for how difficult it will be.
Yeah.
I wish I had somebody to tell me that in the beginning, but I learned through experience. I'll never say don't do it because you never know. You never know. You have to take
Yeah.
that leap of faith and strive for what you believe in, especially in the time frame that you're talking about, which is that youthful exuberance part.
Hmm.
Uh, that that's a good feeling to get you through most of the difficulties.
Yeah.
So if you're feeling something, go for it.
Yeah, sure. And you never know, like it could end up being the Academy Award submission for Pakistan. Like that's
Yeah.
so insane and it's
Yeah,
awesome and
genuinely.
it's you
Never
never
in a
know.
million years did I think that would happen.
Yeah,
So
that's
I was floored by that decision and very grateful.
yeah, that's awesome. As soon as I saw that, I was like, oh my God, this is this is incredible.
Yeah.
But
I'm
yes,
very grateful.
just give my initial thoughts on Glassworker. Like it is absolutely stunning, and the music is absolutely beautiful. And again, I think it's one of those that as we talk about the film at hand, The Wind Rises, which is what we're talking about today, I will give more comparisons because I really do feel um, um, uh, the sense of inspiration from Miyazaki in this, and I not only in the artistry, but also again the music is just absolutely gorgeous. And yeah, again we'll talk about it as we dive in. So talking about The Wind Rises, uh, obviously this was your selection, and I'm
Mhm.
curious why this movie? Did you watch it a lot growing up? Was it clearly a source of inspiration for Glassworker? Give us the whole rundown.
So for me, my first Ghibli film that I ever saw, I was a child and I had a VHS tape. Now in Pakistan, there were a lot of pirated VHS tapes on the market. And I don't remember uh, how I got this. I just remember I had it, and it was the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Oh, nice.
It
Nice.
was the Green Ranger arc, so Green with Evil.
Oh
So it
yeah,
was that 5 episode story.
hmm
And when that ended, Kiki's Delivery Service would start. And it would start about like 20 minutes into the
nice.
movie. So I had no idea what this movie was called. I had no idea what studio made it. And when you're like 4 or 5 years old, you don't think about the studio, you just watch. And I
Sure.
just remember being mesmerized by that movie. And there was just something magical about it. And I don't really know how to put it in words. I knew I was just drawn to it. And then as I started getting older, I think in '98, Princess Mononoke was released in the West. And I immediately recognized the art style.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, this looks like Kiki. And wow, this is such an epic, incredible movie. Even in my like child brain, I was like, this is something extremely special. And I watched a lot of anime, but Ghibli just didn't feel like anime. It just felt otherworldly, and especially a film like Mononoke, where you have the forest spirit and all that imagery of
Yeah.
it walking on the water and its face not moving and emoting at all. It's still like it stuck with me. So at that point, I finally knew who Hayao Miyazaki was, who
Mm.
Isao Takahata was, and what Studio Ghibli was. Just fell in love with their work, obsessively went back, got my hands on, and Spirited Away came out a few years later, won the Oscar. Got my hands on every single film that they had ever made, bought art books and storyboard books, and just fell in love with the artistry. And then started finding out that um, who Miyazaki was, because like I knew his work, but I didn't know the person, the
hmm
personality, and this trend in all of his films where he would say that, okay, I'm done with movies now. After Mononoke, he said, I'm done with feature films.
Yep.
I'm probably going to focus on something else, making smaller, maybe shorts for the Ghibli Museum. I don't remember exactly what he said in that documentary. But then after Spirited Away, he said, I'm done. After Howl's Moving Castle, he said, I'm done. Ponyo in 2008 was like, oh, this might be his final movie.
Yeah.
So I would always watch every movie thinking, okay, this is it. But when The Wind Rises happened, for some reason it felt different. It felt like he was really serious,
Hmm.
that this is it. And he based the story on this wonderful comic that he had drawn with Jiro Horikoshi. A lot of the imagery from that is actually in the movie as well. But I think that was like his thesis statement before he ventured
Right.
out to actually make The Wind Rises.
Yeah.
But when I saw that movie, I saw a special screening in Boston when I was 22 years old in October 2013. There were about two people in the audience,
Oh,
and I
nice.
sat there going in. But they didn't advertise it that much.
Yeah.
Uh, but obviously, like super fans were there. So I watched that movie, and it was almost like a spiritual experience because I didn't know. Of course, I know about the actual Jiro Horikoshi, and we studied all of those things as well. But this was his take on Jiro's journey, and I just thought it was so poetic at capturing the artist's slash the engineer's journey, who just wanted to make beautiful airplanes, ignoring all the horrible stuff that actually happened in the war, but just
Hmm.
focusing on Jiro. And there was one scene where Honjo, his friend, is complaining about how everyone else is so much more advanced than Japan and is able to make all of these incredible engineering marvels. And here they are in Japan trying to make these planes. And they were dragging the planes out on ox carts. And he's saying, we'll never be as advanced as Germany, will never be as advanced as the US. This is our fate. This is how we're going to do it. And Jiro just blissfully ignored him because he just saw so clearly what he could achieve in his head. He
Mm.
was the genius that he was, the vision that he had. And I watched that and said, "Oh my God, that's Pakistan." And like I saw, I'm not saying I'm a genius like Jiro, but I could put myself in his shoes and be like, "Oh, he can see
Yeah.
what he wants to do and he knows exactly how to achieve it." I cried throughout that movie, like I would say 50 minutes in. At the end of the movie, I just got up and said, I have to make my film now. I
Yeah.
have to. And I went back and saw The Wind Rises two more times in the cinema. And I said that I don't know, it just moved me so much. Like you never know what these movies are going to do.
Yeah.
And I
For
certainly
sure.
didn't expect to be moved the way I was by The Wind Rises. So the Glassworker wouldn't exist if I hadn't had that experience in the cinema
Mm.
watching The Wind Rises. That is why it's my pick. And of course, Miyazaki did a whole press conference after the movie. He
Hmm.
announced that he is done. Ghibli released Kaguya, and then they released When Marnie Was There by Hiromasa Yonebayashi. And I thought, okay, it's actually over. Wow, Ghibli is, especially Miyazaki's era of films is over. And it was depressing as well, but also felt like what a great bookend for me personally. What a
Hmm.
great way to end his incredible legacy. Um, and then I was invited to Ghibli in 2015 with my storyboards for the Glassworker because, like, from that moment on, I would just sit and I would draw the movie. I would draw image boards and obsessing over all of the way he made his movies. I
Hmm.
modeled how I would make mine. So I had a portfolio case just filled with drawings. And this was before I thought I would make the glassworker in Pakistan. I thought maybe I'll just take this to Japan. And of course, I won't be able to make it at Ghibli, but maybe they can, I don't know, guide me. And I had found my way into speaking at a TEDx conference in Tokyo. And after that talk, um, I thought, okay, what am I doing here? Not, I'm never going to go to Studio Ghibli. Like I'm a kid from Karachi. It's impossible. I've come here with all these bright eyes, expecting things, and I was whisked away to Ghibli 2 days later.
Hmm.
Somebody was there who was watching my talk and said,
Wow.
"Come." And yeah, I wasn't allowed to take any pictures, but I still did. I put my phone in my pocket and I had my Apple Watch. The Apple Watch had just come out, so I was just clicking
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was taking pictures of, but now I have all
Oh,
of them. It's
that's
incredible.
awesome. And there's that photo of
Uh,
you in front of the Studio Ghibli sign,
yes,
and I was like, oh,
that was
that's
we were allowed to take photos outside
yeah, yeah,
before
sure. It's
they said
incredible.
please don't take any. But the most magical thing when I walked in was not thinking that anybody would be there.
Hmm.
Hayao Miyazaki was right there, like in front
Wow.
of. He wasn't on
What?
the second floor where he usually sits. He was on the
Yeah.
first floor because I found out later that he was working on a short film for the Ghibli Museum called Boro the Caterpillar. And there's a wonderful
Wow.
documentary that you can watch called The Never Ending Man,
Hmm.
where they actually show that process. So in July 2015, while he was working on that in the room downstairs, I was there one of those days. So it was just incredible. But I was showing the storyboards and just constantly talking about Ghibli's films and how much they mean to me. And um, obviously, the person who was showing me around, his name was Mr. Shin Hashida. So he wasn't speaking in English. I had a translator with me. So there would always be a delay between my extremely emotional things that I was saying and then his
Hmm.
understanding of them. But he understood like the sentiment of what it meant for me to be there. And
Hmm.
we sat down in the cafeteria they have downstairs next to the winding staircase with the big windows.
Hmm.
And I showed the storyboards for the film. And he said, look, I would recommend you don't make this film in Japan because if you come to Japan, you will have to first work through the system, and then maybe in 6, 7, 10 years, maybe you'll be in a position to make this movie. If you want to make this film, make your own studio. And I like at that moment, it felt like some divine revelation that, oh, wow, I have to make my own studio. I'm going to go
Yeah.
do that.
No small
When I look
feat.
back on it now, I think he was just getting rid of me because I was crying so much through the visit. But that's what led to the movie. So that's why I picked The
That's
Wind
awesome.
Rises. That was my journey
Yeah.
with film and why that movie is special to me. But of course, now we have The Boy and the Heron.
Yeah.
I hope he
Still
keeps
going.
making movies. I hope he keeps inspiring everybody. And I I feel happy knowing that like when I'm going to bed, I'm like, oh, Hayao Miyazaki's working on a movie.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's we've had some pretty good childhood stories on this show, and that was easily the most inspiring and incredible.
That's
And
tough to beat.
but yeah, I'm very, very glad that we're talking Wind Rises. Pelton, I believe that this is your first Studio Ghibli movie.
Okay, I've
Maybe?
learned that that's actually wrong.
Oh, okay. So for the longest time, I thought that this was going to be
I
your
did
first
too.
time. Yeah, yeah,
Okay, so me and Nick, again, we've been best friends for like 4 or 5 years at this point, and he has gone on and on about Studio Ghibli and animation and how like important these films are, how beautiful these films are.
yeah,
And I'm like, Nick, I love you to death. I've never seen a single one, not
yeah.
one. And then for the biggest one is Spirited Away, because that was
Yeah.
what I think that came out when we were like 3 or 4.
Early 2000s. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we were very
Or
young.
late 90s. Yeah.
So Nick is always like, Spirited Away is one of my favorite movies ever. If you look up like best 100 movies of all time, it's usually on the list.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And again, for 5 years, I'm like, Nick, I've never seen this movie. And the other day, I was on the phone with my dad, and somehow Spirited Away got brought up. I was like, yeah, Nick has been talking about this movie for like half a decade. Never seen it. And he's like, yeah, you have.
Oh,
I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, I took you to see that movie in
Oh,
oh,
theaters.
wow.
no kidding.
So, dude, my whole life I have seen a Studio Ghibli movie
Also in theaters. Like
in
That's
theaters
that's great.
this whole
Wow.
time.
Okay.
So this is
But
technically
you just don't
don't remember a
remember it
single
from when you were a
thing.
kid. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
Yeah.
leaned
You
more
gotta
on
rewatch it,
the
man.
Power Ranger side than the Ghibli
Yeah.
side.
The beginning of the tape. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, he
exactly.
went the other way. I stuck to the beginning of it.
I
But
would
I've
say
never.
Spirited Away is obviously a great film. I would say watch Princess Mononoke if you're gonna like
Okay.
watch The Wind Rises, but I would
Yep.
recommend watching that.
If I'm gonna go
The
down the
other
rabbit
ones,
hole,
Yeah.
yeah, Mononoke would be a great way to start this journey of
it's a good
Miyazaki.
entry.
I think it's the most palatable film for Western audiences, number one, because it is this sweeping, epic, kind of swashbuckling story, but the way he deals with certain narrative themes where no one is inherently good or bad in the movie. That,
Hmm.
as a kid, blew my mind because you're so used to seeing just the bad guy be the bad
Hmm.
guy. and their motivations are just evil. But in this film, they show that no, everybody is nuanced, everybody is looking out for each other, everybody has their own opinion and things that they are projecting into the world that clashes with the other party. I'm saying all of this so that it doesn't, that nothing gets spoiled. I'd love for you to just
Yeah.
see
Appreciate
it
it.
with eyes unopened, with eyes unclouded by hate. That's one line in the film that I really love. So yeah, do see it.
Yeah.
And see it in
Also,
English. Like a lot of people say, no, just watch the Japanese version. No, please watch it in English because you
Really?
miss the visuals when you're reading all the subtitles.
yeah.
So I would say watch the Japanese version at some point,
Yeah.
but the English version is wonderful. The dub is amazing,
Yeah.
and you get to actually see the beauty of the film that would be lost if you're just constantly reading. There isn't much dialogue in it, but I'm
Mm.
saying it as a person who just watched the movie.
Yeah, especially because that one in particular has such striking imagery. It
Yeah,
is like
exactly.
all of Miyazaki's, but that one in particular, like I remember some of the images in that are just so striking and beautiful and
Yeah.
complex. Like they're just so it's gorgeous. Yeah, but I no, I approached Miyazaki. So in when I was in college at Emerson, it had to be sophomore year or possibly second semester freshman year, like right around the time we met, Pelton.
Yeah, end of
I was
freshman year, beginning of
living, yeah,
sophomore.
I was living with an old roommate of mine who ended up transferring after that semester, but he had gone on forever about Miyazaki and Studio Ghibli, and he was like, "These movies are amazing." Like he had posters on his side of the dorm, like it was his thing. And so one day, it was peak COVID times, and it was also winter in Boston, so not a whole lot to do, and not many places to go because of COVID, plus just snow constantly. And and he was like, "Hey, what if we?" Go down to the max, get some food, and come back up and just watch as many of these as we possibly can and just like take it all in and just enjoy it. And I was like, great. So we essentially spent the weekend just going through, starting with Lupin the Third and going through one by one and kind of watching all of them. And by the end of it, I was like, I want to direct animation more than anything in my life. Like it was such a euphoric and truly life-changing experience because, growing up with the Disney films and the Pixar films, those are great, right? But again, it's very much like hero villain. It
Mhm.
was there are some complex themes throughout those films, but nothing like kind of like you said earlier, like it felt like it was in a whole nother world. It felt like it's on a whole nother level,
Yeah.
and again, just between the beauty of the actual animation plus the music is just unforgettable. And that was one thing where I was like, this music and just the way the films breathe and kind of
Yeah.
let you just see the normal lives of these people really just made me want to like throw my phone in a river and just go like travel the world and just oh, it was great. So that was truly like my introduction to Miyazaki. And by the time we got to the end, it was well, it was 2021. So I guess at this point we knew that there was a film coming out in the next few years from Miyazaki.
Yeah.
So, but there was that story of, he had retired or said he was going to retire over and over, and then he would just start the next project. And as I was kind of learning more about what eventually Born the Heron became, I was like, oh, this is going to be really interesting. So ended up seeing it in theaters and loved it, and that's one of my favorites of all time. But yeah, Wind
Yeah.
Rises very much feels like the finale. Like
Yeah.
it's long. It's very much like again so much plane detail, and there's a
Yeah.
famous thing that Miyazaki's obsessed with planes and the craft of planes and the design. So like it really felt like he was pouring his heart into this.
Yeah.
And yeah, by the end of that marathon, I was like, oh my gosh, that was it. Like, how can there be another one? So really,
Exactly.
really like
That's
blown
really
away.
almost exactly how I felt. I was
Yeah,
like, this is just the perfect ending. We
yeah,
got an amazing encore, but for me, like it ended on The Wind Rises. I mean, if he's making another one, that'll be the second encore.
yeah.
So, yeah, but Wind
Again,
Rises just felt special because of, and if you followed his filmography and you see all the little details, and especially the obsession with flight and engineering and just aeronautical engineering in
yeah.
particular, you see it all even from Naushka, the way he designed the kind of the dragonfly like
Mm.
flying device that
Oh,
she
that thing's
has.
awesome.
uh, culminating with The Wind Rises, and just that, um, like you see the journey conclude where you see all of these little hints at the planes. Like I would say, Porco Rosso is another one where he obsesses a lot on the flight and the like the fuselage and the shots of the cockpit, all of those things, just culminating with The Wind Rises. It just felt like, yeah, where else can he go?
Yeah.
And then he went, and then he took us somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that's great. Okay, getting into production. I know we kind of already talked a lot about who the players are and kind of how this all goes, so I'll kind of speed through this. But written directed, obviously, by Miyazaki, King of all kings, love that guy. Produced by Toshio Suzuki, who is a longtime Miyazaki producer. He shows up in a lot of the behind the scenes documentaries.
Yeah, he's the
Um,
co-founder of Ghibli. It's
yeah,
Saki, Toshio Suzuki, and Isao Takahata.
Mhm.
So the
yeah,
three of them started Studio Ghibli. So
yeah.
he's just he's always there. He is Miyazaki's champion. Miyazaki wouldn't go out and put himself out there. That is the
Hmm.
genius of Toshio Suzuki, where he sees, okay, I can sell this. I can show people this side of
Hmm.
him. Like everything we know about him is the genius of that man.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And also
Yeah.
like yeah, looking back at old photos of Miyazaki, like you see Suzuki like in all of them and you're like, "Oh, I didn't really
Yeah.
know a whole lot about this guy until you watch the documentaries and you realize like he is really honing it in and making it so that they release and so that we can see them and he really is, like you said, like the genius behind this all." Um Music by Joe Hisashi, like the score not only of this film but of all of the Miyazaki films that he scored are so we Pelton and I have a playlist that we created together for an idea that we have for an animated feature, and most of the music on there
Yeah, honestly,
is
that's true.
from Joe Hisashi, like so much of it. And now truly like in the past few days I've added music from the Glassworker because I was very
Oh,
much inspired by some of it. It's amazing,
thank you.
truly. I'm curious because you know there are a few tracks in The Wind Rises that like when you hear it you're like The Wind Rises, that you hear it and you think of that. What are the tracks for you for the Glassworker that really were the core kind of themes that you kind of stuck with from the beginning?
The way I worked on the motifs for the film,
Hmm.
when I was drawing the image boards. So this is before I had a studio, before I was working with anybody. It was just me on my desk, and I didn't even draw digitally at the time. So I had these big watercolor sheets, and I would draw the workshop, or I would draw the father and the son making a sculpture, or Vincent and Elise. I would draw all of this. And then while I would wait for the paint to dry, I would move over to my piano, which was literally like right here, and I would write something inspired by one of the drawings. And the first thing I wrote was this piece in D minor called The Glassworker's Melancholy, and that
Hmm.
became the base for the, I would say, the entire underscore and the motif for Vincent and his father. It just became that. And then I worked with our wonderful co-composer, Carmine De Florio, to flesh everything out even more. But that was the first thing I wrote, and then I wrote the love theme, the for Vincent and Elise, and a few other pieces. But I would say that that piano motif that you hear
Hmm.
throughout
Hmm.
the key of D minor, that ba da 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 ba ba da 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 da, that's the main theme for the Glassworker, like the wind rises is ba da 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 ba
Hmm.
ba 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 ba. Like I just wanted something like that, something that you can hum, something that is just instantly recognizable as the score for the film.
Hmm.
But I would say that Elise's piece that she wrote in the film, which is called Sea of Dreams,
Hmm.
that's one of my favorite compositions for the movie, but that's also because we wrote that much later in the stage. Um, but I would say these two themes, the Sea of Dreams and the Glassworker's Melancholy, those really are I would say, the main motifs for the
Yeah.
Glassworker. But
Yeah.
funnily enough, my favorite Joe Hisaishi score, like favorite score, is Howl's Moving Castle. I just think
Mm.
that is magical. It's not just me, the whole world feels that way. Like I
Yeah.
never expected Howl's Moving Castle to be like a TikTok music trend. Like it's just everywhere. That for
Yeah.
me was absolutely bizarre. Like people doing all sorts of strange things with that music, but I mean it's one of his greatest compositions.
Agreed.
Um,
It's
yeah,
always interesting seeing what explodes on TikTok and what
yeah.
lives forever on the internet. It's insane. So, Pelton, now it's time for your favorite part of the show. We have we I like to, take notes on kind of what the how the production goes, and one of my favorite parts to do with Pelton is budget. So, I know that
Right.
this is kind of like it's never really exact, and it's just numbers from the internet, but Pelton and Usman, would you like to guess the budget of this film, The Wind Rises?
Well,
I think I already know it. I think it's like
I would say
well,
both of you probably know it.
Okay, Pelton, then do you want to guess first?
Yeah, because I'm going in way more ignorant on this than you
Yeah.
two are. Now, okay, I always have this belief that animated movies would be cheaper than like your big kind of typical blockbusters. But I feel like I've been proven wrong many times in that
Yeah.
belief on this show. So I'm gonna say it's under 100 million by a
Yeah.
lot.
On the right track.
Okay. I'm gonna go, I'll say 30 million. I'm gonna go kind of low, I
Dude,
think.
I think this is the
oh, that
first
is low.
time, I think this is
That
the
is,
first time in the show's
that is
history that you hit the nail on
yeah,
the
No
head.
way. Let's go.
Yeah, 30 million budget. That was,
yeah.
dude, spot. I feel like there have been times where it's like,
Wow.
oh, 35, 30, like you're pretty close. 30 on the
Mhm.
dot is like incredible. That was
See,
good. That was really
I had
good.
to look impressive in front of the guests today. Had to look cool.
So now the harder question is what do
Uh-oh.
you think this film grossed?
I'm assuming worldwide, right?
Now this is translated from Japan to US dollars,
Yeah.
so it could get
Now, also, I watched the dub of this version,
yes.
and I
It's a
was a
good
little
dub.
nervous. Yeah, I was a little nervous you guys would yell at me for that, but sure enough,
No,
you said watch
No,
the dub, so
that was fine.
perfect. And I know it's a big cast, the dub.
it is.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
like Stanley Tucci, there's Joseph Gordon-Levitt. It's pretty
yeah.
loaded.
Mm,
So I'm gonna say this did pretty good. I'll guess, you know what? I'm gonna guess it made 100 million.
pretty close.
Oh,
136.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It also going off of that was the highest grossing film in Japan in 2013. So that
Oh no,
was
so this was like a big
super
success.
interesting. Yeah, I mean it's again marketed as Miyazaki's last film.
Yeah,
True.
exactly.
The
And they did
legend.
that. Yeah, they did that for this. Then they did the same thing for the boy
Yeah.
in the heron.
They've been
Yeah.
doing it for 3 decades.
Maybe it's just marketing. It's kind of genius.
Yeah, people
That's
really Spirited Away, but now that's also been like internationally, not just Japan, that
yeah.
grows the most. But now
Oh
that it's
yeah, that thing was
uh,
insane.
Oh, it was.
That thing was
yeah,
insane. Especially then, yeah, it got nominated for the Oscar, won the Oscar. So yeah,
True.
it
I mean, I
then
saw it.
post the run. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You saw it in theaters. There you go. So this film was nominated for Best Animated Feature at the Oscars. What do you think it lost to? 2013. One of the most
2013.
successful animated films of all time. Spawned a franchise, a very famous franchise that may be having a sequel coming up in the next few years.
Is it Pixar?
I
It's not Pixar,
It's not.
but it's
Frozen.
Disney. Frozen. There you go.
Oh, it
Yeah.
totally is
Yeah,
Frozen.
I
Frozen
just remember
2013.
that Wind Rises didn't win. I remember that. I
Yeah,
remember
that's
what else was
crazy.
there that year for
Yeah.
Frozen.
Yeah. No, I Frozen was one of the first like 2013 we were like 11 at the time. So like that was like the first where I was like I'm like a teenager now. I don't want to go see this like a
I
girly
think I was
movie.
the
And then
same
I
thing.
was the front row in the theater.
Oh, I
I,
wasn't that.
it is
No,
very
my
good.
parents took me.
Yeah,
Yeah. They were like, you have to go see this. I was like, great.
it's great.
Yeah. No, it's beautiful. They're also, speaking of documentaries, there's a wonderful docu-series on Disney Plus about the making of Frozen 2 that I
Oh,
was
okay.
super
Yeah,
into. Again, any behind the scenes of animation thing that I can get my hands on, I'm all over it. So that that was it's a fun time. I actually rewatched it recently and it's great
No, wait, I
just to
gotta
see
know
it on
because
that scale.
both
Yeah.
of you are obviously very much into Studio Ghibli, and Wind Rises means a lot to both of
Sure.
you. How do you feel about the fact Frozen beat it at the Oscars?
I think just from a technical standpoint and what Frozen managed to achieve, I will never say they didn't deserve it.
Yeah.
They
Okay,
did.
it's a good answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Miyazaki fanboy in me just wants to see him win everything,
There
but
it is. Yeah.
but but Frozen deserved it. It's a remarkable movie, and so many people worked so hard on it. Every movie that's in that running, all of them deserve that Oscar. But unfortunately, there just has to be one winner, and he
Hmm.
got his Oscar now for his last movie again.
Yeah.
So it
That
doesn't
is
Me too.
true.
matter.
He eventually got it.
It's great.
Yeah,
Yeah. As previous, yeah, I agree with all of that. As previously mentioned, this is supposed to be Miyazaki's final film, as many were. And again, like I said before, it truly does feel like it until a decade later when The Boy and the Heron is released. And after the first screening of this film, Hayao Miyazaki said that it was the first time that he ever cried during a screening of his own film, and
Oh
you can see
wow.
this in the documentary, which is such an interesting moment because it's actually quite funny because he gets up and he says like, "Thank you all so much. I'm so honored. Like this is the first time I ever cried." And then he kind of just like leaves, and he's just like, "All right, see
He
ya."
just takes off.
Yeah. But it's very heartwarming, like right in the moment, because everyone's like, "Oh my God, this is incredible!" Everyone's crying, like everyone's applauding. It's really great. It's a
yeah,
really great moment.
yeah,
Um, yeah. So after the release of Ponyo, so that was 2008, I believe. Miyazaki wanted his next film to be a sequel to the film, which I find really interesting, just from his background and his nature. I never would have pictured him doing a sequel. I don't know. Maybe just because his whole filmography is a lot of like original stuff.
He's never
Not
done a
really sure.
sequel before, right?
no.
Okay, I didn't think so.
No, I mean you can argue the
Only time
like,
there is, yeah, the Cat Bus one for the
yeah,
Ghibli seems like a short, but he's
yeah,
never made a
Hmm.
sequel. Never.
right. Uh, but Suzuki, his producer, proposed to adapt the manga The Wind Has Risen, which is a thing that he created, which was an adaptation, I believe, of a book.
Yeah,
Um, and at first, Miyazaki rejected the proposal because he created the manga as a hobby and considered its subjects not suitable for children, the traditional audience of Studio Ghibli features. However, he changed his mind when a staff member suggested that children should be allowed to be exposed to the subjects that they are not familiar with. He was also inspired to make the film after reading a quote. All I wanted to do was make something beautiful, which was, I believe, from the person who wrote the book that inspired the manga. Yeah,
Which,
yeah,
okay, I have another question for both of you, because again,
sure.
coming from a very ignorant perspective on
Sure.
Studio Ghibli animation as a whole, I like that I have both of you that I can just ask questions, because
Yeah,
I have no idea what I'm talking about.
sure.
So I feel like maybe it's even more in the US and kind of Western culture than other parts of the world. But I feel like when we think of animation, there is kind of this almost borderline cliche of it's tailored towards a younger audience inherently because it's
Hmm.
animated. But I feel like maybe even with other Studio Ghibli movies, but especially with this movie, I was very shocked at
mm,
how kind of mature the themes were and how
yeah.
adult the movie is. So, could you like would you say that Studio Ghibli makes children's movies? Is that not a fair statement? Like, where do you land on that spectrum?
It's interesting because I've been watching the movies since I was a child, so my
Sure.
perspective is very, I would say, distorted.
Hmm.
Uh, but if I pull myself back from it, animation as a medium has been largely catered towards children.
Mm.
Always has been, especially in the West, right?
Of course.
So keeping that in mind, I would say there are certain movies in the Ghibli catalog that are more catered towards children than, say, everybody. Like Totoro is a film that is primarily for
Hmm.
children. Adults can find things and enjoy it for sure,
Sure.
but there's
Ponyo.
this innocence in it. Ponyo, I would say there's another film, Porco Rosso, that is not very much for children at all. Miyazaki even says that this is just not for kids.
Mm.
Their mission statement also is to make movies that I would say young adults is primarily who their movies are for. So kids can enjoy them, but understand the themes as they get older. Adults can enjoy them because they already have an understanding of the themes, and it allows them to also just kind of go back to their childhood as well. But I would say like that middle, that young adult category is who the
Hmm.
films primarily are geared towards. When you stand back and look at it objectively,
Sure.
like I love them. I'm an adult and I just love every single thing about them. But if you look at their target demographic, uh, looking at it critically, that's what I feel it is.
Yeah.
And I'd love to hear what Nick thinks about it as well.
Sure. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I also think that is mostly the reason I was particularly drawn to them when I watched them for the first time in, early college is
Around that
because like you
age.
said, like in the Western culture, like it truly is geared towards kids and
Yeah,
marketed towards kids. So seeing something like that when you first go in and my brain is already accustomed to this is going to be a kids film,
Yep.
yeah,
seeing those raw moments that feel very adult and have these adult themes and kind of background, especially like you get to later ones like war and death and all of these things that are like truly striking when you watch them in the film. Yeah, it blew me away, and I was something about it. I was like, oh my gosh, this is completely different than what I ever would have expected in the best way possible. So it's like
yeah.
taking the things that you would typically see in live action, putting them in animation, making them stunning. Like I was like, yeah, this is exactly why I like this. This is great. But I could also see myself not really understanding the politics or really the any of those adult themes as a kid. I could
Yeah.
definitely still see myself liking it because again, like we've
Yeah.
Interesting.
covered a lot of things on this show in particular that like we watched as kids and we are like, oh, we definitely shouldn't have watched that because that
Yeah,
like
yeah, that's true.
scared us as a kid or like there's some deeper themes that we just completely miss. And I feel like that probably could be the same about but yeah, and then you watch Totoro and you're like, oh, this is for kids. This is great.
Yeah.
Like it's
I
uh
think the feeling for me happened when I saw Princess Mononoke. That
yeah,
oh, it's animation, but this doesn't feel like it's for children.
Mm.
sure. There's
This is
blood
one
and
scene in
like
particular that, again, when you watch it, you'll know what I'm talking about. But staying away from spoilers, I hate it
Thank
when
you.
people give a spoiler and say it and they're staying. There's this one particularly violent scene in it that I, as a kid, was like, well, what? This can't happen in a cartoon. Like I couldn't verbalize the feeling or express the feeling that I had, but I knew it instinctually that this is something different. And as a kid, that made me like it more. I had a similar feeling when I would watch The Simpsons because it looks like a cartoon. It
yeah,
looks
right,
like
right.
it's when you're a kid watching it, but then they have all of these things happening in it that are not for kids. So you feel like you're being let in on a secret and it feels special when you're watching it. Ghibli did have that feeling early on as well, that this is something special that I'm getting to be a part of. And that's why I'm enjoying it even more. Because Kiki's Delivery Service was essentially a children's movie. It has a lot of like deep subtext in it, but
Hmm,
it'll go over your head as a kid.
sure.
But it didn't have anything in it that was disturbing.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, Mononoke had that feeling. Porco Rosso, if you end up watching it, that also has that.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, for sure, the young adults.
Yeah, definitely.
Interesting.
Also,
It's
after Mononoke Pelton, you should definitely watch Kiki's, especially around this time because it's like fall vibes.
oh,
It's a really
perfect.
nice
Consider
like
it done.
yeah, it's great. Usman, I am forcing Pelton after, especially after this experience. He is going to watch them all, and I will I will
I have
hold
a feeling I
myself
have
to
no
that.
choice in this matter. Yeah.
I'm seeing him in like a few weeks, and I'm like, we if we have any time to spare, we're gonna watch one.
I have a feeling Nick is going to cancel all our plans. Just be like,
Yeah,
Spirited
yeah,
Away,
no, no.
House.
Yeah,
We're putting them on.
we're doing the whole weekend. Yeah, okay. That's all I have on production. So going into plot again, I know we already talked about the artistry and all of that, but it truly like not enough can even be said about it. Like it truly is so much work goes into it, and I'm sure Usman, like obviously much more than us, but it's just so painstaking and it just ends up being this gorgeous thing. But so we open with this beautiful flying sequence with a young boy named Jiro flying a seemingly handmade plane. He gets attacked by these like living bomb things. The thing about
Mhm.
Ghibli is like there are so many. images and character designs that are so out of this world and they move in such interesting ways that like as soon as you see it, you're like, oh, Miyazaki. Like you see it and you already know
You
what
know
the deal is.
immediately.
And it's great. But this was one right in the beginning. I was like, oh, this is very much him. But he wakes up from what was only a dream. And I noticed in the like beginning here and kind of throughout, I really liked the sort of Italian feeling to the score. Like it was quite nice.
I also
Uh
say during this dream sequence, this was the first moment where I'm like, Usman, God bless you for choosing this movie.
yeah.
Because on this show, we've covered great movies on this show. Like we've covered
Sure.
Pan's Labyrinth as an example. But we've also covered, no offense to people who made them, but some really hard movies to get through. Not, not the best end product.
Paul
So,
Blart, yeah. You
well,
know.
we don't talk about that one. So usually when a guest picks a movie, it's always like I got to get through this thing. So I went to go put this on, and it's such a beautiful opening scene. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I get a real movie
Yes.
this time. Like,
Yes.
Because just from a technical standpoint, like the suspension of disbelief and everything, you just get sucked into the world and
Oh,
instantly understand all the rules
yeah.
without any exposition. It's genius.
no, it's one of my favorite things about Miyazaki. And again, the reason why I was so happy to do the marathon over a weekend, or maybe it was 2 weekends. Anyways, but it was like once you're in the world, you forget everything around you, and
Exactly.
it's the world building in it is so amazing, and again, inspiring for ideas that I have, and of all these things of like I want to put someone in a world where they can forget all of their problems, and again, like you said, understand all of the logistics and all the rules and all the everything that's going on in this place.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, you just get whisked away right in the beginning, and you're like, oh, this
Yeah.
is
We
this is
did
great. But all his
truly
movies do
like
that. It's awesome.
especially visually, again, as someone who doesn't do a lot of animation, I feel like Ghibli movies, you can always tell they are Ghibli movies from even a still frame. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they're always so beautiful, like so beautifully animated. So within the first intro, I'm like, oh, this is awesome.
The amount of concept, like the amount of art from Ghibli movies that I pulled as as references for things that I want to
I'm
do of like
sure.
put it in a mood board, like do this. It's too many to even count.
So point
Uh,
is, I owe you a thank you because you could have chose a Paul Blart. You could have made us watch like the live action Cat in the Hat again.
Oh
But
my
yeah,
God.
you chose
oh yeah,
something really good.
that was one of our early episodes was live action Cat in the Hat, and then after it was literally I think like episode 3 or 4, and at that point we were like, do we just end the show forever?
Let's just
Like,
quit.
we
Yeah,
just,
this shows a bad
dude,
idea.
why do we do this? But yeah, so he receives this magazine that gives insight to his favorite aircraft designer, Giovanni Caproni, who comes up multiple times throughout the movie, again with that Italian score. Like it's
Mhm.
it's it's really great. And he starts dreaming about adventuring with him and seeing all these beautifully crafted planes, which again is a thing that Miyazaki has obsessed with, his whole life. These aircrafts. Um, and also like the thing I wanted to mention was, and one thing I picked up on in the Glassworker because this is something that I've noticed in a lot of Ghibli movies that well, and anime in general, but the way this is very particular too. My brain, I love it. The way that grass moves in the wind, especially in
Yeah.
like these Ghibli movies, like when a giant gust of wind goes by and you could see the grass moving. I don't know how it's done or how it's animated in particular, but it every time I see it, I'm like, this is amazing. Like I
Yeah.
love it. There's something about that very particular thing that I'm like, it's great. And that brings up this idea that you've said in a few different interviews and documentary, but the leather briefcase. If
Yeah.
you want to tell that anecdote, I think that's particularly fascinating and something in animation that I like. This is why I obsess over it.
I think particularly with Ghibli's animation,
Mm,
they make it a point for the animation not to imitate reality, but to
mm,
give the impression of reality. So when
yeah,
you see those blades of grass moving, now in real life, grass does not move like that.
sure.
But for animation, when you see that, you automatically get a sense of the wind and the feeling, and you feel it kind of just almost washing over you. Similarly, there are a few sequences in the documentary where they talk about, I think this was a scene in When Marnie was there, how when you cut a tomato, normally a knife would just go through it,
Mm,
but the resistance you feel when you're cutting it, like when you're actually holding the knife, cutting it, and then feeling the juices inside kind of swelling out, all of that. They try to capture that in animation. So when they animated it, you can almost feel everything bulging and moving. It's exaggerated to the point where you feel like you can touch it. That's what they try to do with their animation, which is so special. And I was in LA in 2017, and I was having this wonderful conversation with Charles Solomon, who's a Disney historian. We were just talking about animation, and the discussion was between CG animation and hand drawn. And I think CG animation is remarkable. I think it's absolutely amazing. We weren't discussing what is better because they're just two different ways to tell a
Yeah.
story. But we were talking about the the differences in the mediums and what we prefer. And he said this wonderful thing. He said, computer generated animation largely, and especially back then in 2017, Spider-Verse hadn't come out, which kind of rewrote the whole what CG animation can do handbook.
Mm.
But he was saying CG at that point was trying to imitate reality, while hand-drawn animation gives the impression of reality. And I have stuck with that ever since. Now everything has changed, of course, but it just made so much sense back then. That's why I preferred hand drawn.
Hmm.
But what Ghibli does, it kind of romanticizes the little things in life and gives you the impression of you can touch this, you can feel it, or you can smell it, all of those things. They do that really well and they linger on those moments. So they let them wash over you
Yeah.
rather than we have to keep the plot going and the scene isn't accomplishing anything. Uh, like James Cameron talks about this when he was saying the flying scene in Avatar, where everyone was convincing him to shorten it and cut it, and he kept saying, "No, I want to stay in this moment. Because I want to see this moment." So in Western storytelling, especially, it's you have to keep it going and you have to keep momentum. Japanese storytelling, and primarily with what Miyazaki tries to do, because Isao Takahata does something completely different. He
Hmm.
paces his films very well and gives you moments to breathe. So for me, it's like a beautiful piece of music, as opposed to um, like the way momentum based things are happening where the plot is advancing constantly. So I know we were talking about the animation on the grass, but I think the philosophy behind it and how they approach everything is very important because you
Yeah.
see that in all their films.
Yeah. 100%. In his dreams, Jiro's dreams, we learn that he can't fly planes because of his nearsightedness. He wears glasses and he can't see super far. But he can design them. So he makes that
Yeah.
his life's goal. Years later, I'm kind of jumping around, but years later, on a train ride, a massive earthquake occurs. And this scene was like insane. It was devastating. It was beautifully animated. It was just wild. I actually forgot that it even happened, and when it happened, I was like, "Oh my God, like this is wild."
That was also
Uh,
like the first scene where it clicked. Then I'm like, oh, this isn't like just like a kids movie.
yeah,
Yeah.
right, right. And then there were
Yeah,
definitely ones later where you're like, "Oh my God,
big
like
time.
this is yeah, wild." But he helps this woman who broke her leg in the earthquake, and he carries her home, but doesn't get her name. A few years after that, he graduates with his friend, and they're both employed at an airplane manufacturer amidst the Great Depression. It's kind of seems like things haven't really recovered since this earthquake happened, and this is kind of where our story takes place. So he thrives at work until one of the fittings that he designs fails. We see that he's this mastermind, but he's kind of put in this box, so to say, is kind of how I read it. But the army that they're designing for goes with a competing design, and he's got it. Um, and his friend's name is Hanjo, right?
Yeah.
Let me see if I
Played
got
by
that right.
John
Yeah, yeah.
Krasinski.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
I didn't catch that until I was like doing the research afterwards and I was like, "Oh my God."
But dude, it was halfway through the dub. I'm like, who are these voices? Like, what's
Yeah,
going on
yeah.
right now?
No, one thing in Ghibli dub like there are so many A-list actors like Christian Bale I think is just always in them for some reason.
Really?
Like he's just there all the time. But yeah, no, their casts are stacked. I mean even like Boy and the Heron, like I remember when that came out, they were like announcing the cast for the dub, and I was like, oh my God, like this thing is nuts.
Well, I'm assuming like Ghibli's such a big
Brought
thing.
Christian Bale back for that because in Japan, the voice actor for Howl came to voice the father and the boy and the heron. So
Oh,
they
no
did this
way.
in the
Oh, I
English.
don't think I realized that.
Yeah. So
Oh, no
Howl's
kidding.
voice actor was brought in to voice the dad.
Yeah.
So
That's
My
pretty cool.
my favorite
yeah,
thing about that dub is that the giant like bird creature is it Dave Batista that voices
yeah,
that thing?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it like looks like him too, so you're like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Like it just gives the same vibes. But yeah, so Jiro and Hanjo, they're then sent to Germany to study these designs for these bomber planes. And this is kind of as you were mentioning earlier, like there's this scene where one of them is like this is they're so far ahead of us and
Yeah.
we're never going to catch up to them and yeah, as you were saying before, like it's such a it's one of the scenes in the film that really stuck with me because I was like, man, this is this is really well done for sure. Although they are welcomed, they are blocked from obtaining complete plans by the German police. With them and their coworkers discouraged by how far back Japan's aeronautics technology is from the rest of the world, Jiro returns to Japan while Hanjo stays and eventually designs what I believe, from my research, is the Mitsubishi G4M. I don't know what that is. It's just a plane, I guess. Super cool, well-designed plane.
Now, also,
um,
I
yeah.
didn't really pick up on this in the movie, and also I'm only now realizing it after talking to the both of you. Is a lot of this story and these characters based on real events?
Yes. Horikoshi was very, very real. And
Oh,
it's a but it's a fictionalized retelling of his life.
ah,
It's done a
okay.
book. So it's not actually what happened, but some of the names and figures that are in the film are very real
Are real
and
Yeah.
people.
yeah,
Because I believe,
contributed.
yeah, I believe it was a book. There was like a book about the events first,
Yes.
and then Miyazaki made the manga, and then he was convinced to make from the
Yep.
manga the actual
Yep.
film. Yeah.
Now, do we know if he actually had like a wife that, spoiler alert, died of tuberculosis and all that,
Mm.
or is all of that fictionalized?
I think I remember reading that it's fictionalized.
It is. Okay.
Mm. Yeah.
So it
Yeah,
is
I didn't know how
very
much of it
much like
was
these are real people that lived during this time and like built these things, but outside of that, a lot of the story is pure fiction.
Yep.
mm.
Got it. Okay. I no idea.
It's a romanticized retelling of what happened during those few years.
Sure.
Yes. So then we have this scene that again, this image of I believe her name is Nahoko
Yeah.
is on the painting on the hill. That image, like I have that saved so many places because I'm just like it's great. But yes, he reconnects in this scene with Nahoko as she's painting on a hill, who I guess has been searching for him since they first met. And later in the film, she is diagnosed with tuberculosis, and Jiro asks her father for his blessing for them to be married, and the two are engaged. Not because of that, but as he, as they fall in love and they become engaged, she then tells him and is just like, hey, just so you know, this is a thing that happens. It has, I believe it ran in her family, or she had a family member that went through a similar situation. So just so you know, and then there's this very sweet moment where he's like, I love you for you, and I want to stick around for this. Um,
So when it
but
comes to like, sorry, not to interrupt you, but
no, no, no,
when
please.
yeah, when it comes to that whole section of the movie, that whole portion, because I feel like in
Hmm.
my mind, I very much had this movie split into two parts
Hmm.
of like all the times he's making plane designs and all that fun stuff, and then the kind of romantic side of it
Yeah.
and his wife and the love story there.
Hmm.
That was easily my favorite part
Mm.
because to me it was so sweet, and
Yeah.
I love the idea storytelling wise of you have a love where you know someone has very limited time, and how do you handle that?
Yeah.
You know, what I mean? Do you let them go? Do you try to live just as long as you can with that person to make the best of it?
Hmm.
Or do you kind of, this feels wrong to say, but do you kind of get distracted, quote unquote, with work
Hmm.
and you try to almost put yourself in there because you know your time is ending?
Yeah.
It's such an interesting theme to go down and something I thought would be a kid's movie.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
which
Yeah.
blew me away.
Yeah, it's so funny that you say that that was your favorite part of the movie because Usman, for context, Pelton and I are very much like two creative brains that are split, but we come together to kind of create the things that we work on. And I feel like Pelton is very much like the character driven, like
Yep.
character development, that sort of thing, and I'm more so the visual component and how to block things and that sort of thing. So it's so
Mhm.
funny you say that because I felt not the completely the opposite because I did really, really like the
Of course.
storytelling and the character development there. But I felt like the images in the beginning and the plane design and all of that stuff I was more drawn to. And it's so
There you
fitting
go.
for the way that we work and the way
Not
that our brains
surprised.
are that that was how it split. And yeah, that's hysterical to me.
I say, Usman, what did you think of in terms of like kind of the two main themes going on here?
That's interesting because I never really thought about what I leaned more
Hmm,
towards. It's just the whole film is essentially a tapestry of emotions, and I felt every emotion that he wanted me to feel. Like this is something I actually told the studio as well while we were working on the film that even though I drew all the storyboards for the Glassworker, like every single one, and I planned everything very meticulously, I don't have a particular shot in the movie because the whole
interesting.
film is the piece itself.
Mm,
And so, and that's, I tried reverse engineering what I feel when I watch these movies into my own film, which is the whole thing should stand on its own. First, people can like certain moments and certain feelings and emotions, but for me, it's what the whole thing makes you feel. Uh, that being said, when I think about it, the one thing that moves me the most in The Wind Rises are the dream sequences.
mm.
Uh, the scenes particularly in Caproni's kingdom. That's why like the Italian music keeps playing because Gino is visiting Caproni's
Yeah.
kingdom.
Yeah.
So he's there with him, and for me, just their conversations about their creativity and what drives them and what motivates them. I loved those scenes, um, primarily because I wish I had something like that where you can just go and just talk to someone much further ahead than you.
Mm.
That oh, I'm trying to follow in these, not follow in these footsteps, but maybe walk down a similar path. What did you do, and what can I learn from it? I liked the romantic element of it. You'll never have that in life, but it was like wish fulfillment watching that in the movie. That is something that stuck with me a lot. But I think the whole film, just everything about it, the all the emotions, the journey it takes you on, I loved that.
Mm. Yeah, no, I completely agree. The whole movie absolutely stands alone, but I agree that the Kingdom of Dreams, which is where Caproni like that, that's awesome. And I'm sure Pelton is reading my mind right now that that in particular is super inspiring to me in a few ideas I've had over the years, and yeah, it's great.
I
It
will say
really
also
is.
during a lot of those dream sequences where he's talking to almost like a mentor or someone way further down the road than he is,
Yeah.
it was a very strange, like, pinch myself moment because I've never seen this till yesterday. And
Hmm.
I was prepping to watch it because me and Nick are talking to someone who's much further down the road than we are, who has like accomplished things we want to accomplish.
Yeah.
So it was bizarre. I was like, oh, that's me
Yeah.
tomorrow. Like we're doing that.
Wow.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
So what I'm saying is you are essentially our Stanley Tucci, is what it all boils down to.
How life
That
goes
part
sometimes.
where he says, "This is my dream, Japanese boy," and he says,
Yeah.
"I think it's my dream too." I love that particular exchange. I love that.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. So, but yes, in this scene when they're like figuring out if they're going to get married and they're asking for blessings and all this stuff, Naoko wishes to wait until she is recovered, fully recovered from her illness to marry and moves back in with her family. So then Jiro finds out that the secret police are after him due to his connection to an anti-Nazi sympathizer. So He hides out at his boss's house until he can escape, and he works on a fighter plane while being apart from his fiancée. A truly devastating moment, and I was like, if I ever had to do that and be apart from my loving girlfriend and
Or
just
me.
essentially hide, yeah,
Thank
essentially
you.
hide out from the secret police, I like just a crazy, crazy story. Um, but yes, and he briefly leaves when Nohoko suffers from a pulmonary hemorrhage. That's what it's called. Which again, one of the, as we talked about earlier, like one of the most striking images when she is like coughing up blood,
Yeah.
and it's just devastating. And again, like if you're watching this as a kid, you're like, oh my God, like
Onto
that's
her painting,
yeah,
which
yeah,
was
It's
exactly, exactly.
brutal.
And it just, yeah, the sub context of all of that, and there's so much there, and it's awesome. Also devastating. But after Jiro briefly tends to her, Nahoko decides to check into a hospital in the mountains to recover, but cannot bear being apart from Jiro and returns to be with him. Um, and Kurokawa and his wife, which is his boss, I don't think I mentioned his name, but they marry the two and allow the couple to stay in their home with Nahoko's father's permission. Jiro's sister, who's a doctor, warns Jiro that his marriage to Nahoko will end tragically as tuberculosis is incurable. Though Nahoko's health deteriorates, she and Jiro enjoy their fleeting time together. It really becomes a very sad story. Like you know, you start this thing and it's this guy who just wants to build planes and design planes, and then it just as time progresses, you're like, man, like yeah, just these themes are just get so intense and serious, and you're like, man, this is again the reason why these films feel like they are in a different category than traditional anime and also like Western animation. It's just wild.
And
yeah.
it really, I will say, really, the movie really sets it up, especially again, someone coming who has no idea what the plot is, anything behind it. It sets it up as like, oh, you got this young kid, he has these dreams of building planes. It's going to be such a sweet movie. And then you're an hour in and you're in World War II and his wife is dying, and you're like, what happened?
Yeah,
Like, Jesus Christ.
yeah.
There's another film, I know I'm just straying off topic for a second, that you
No, no,
should
you're
watch.
good.
It's
No,
called
please, yeah.
In This Corner of the World. I
In
think
this
you'll enjoy
corner of the
it. It's
world.
very similar to The Wind Rises in terms of subject matter, but it's one I actually really loved. So yeah, quick film
Okay.
recommendation there.
So
Oh
I got a
yeah,
whole like watch list after this.
I know, I know. It's so much. I'm looking at images now, and again, it's very like it's gorgeous.
It's a gorgeous
It looks
film.
great.
Tackles
Mm.
very similar themes from The
Mm.
Wind Rises.
Mm. But yes, so kind of wrapping out the story here, Jiro leaves for the test flight of his new prototype airplane. And, unfortunately, knowing that she will die soon, Nahoka leaves farewell letters for Jiro, her family, and friends, and discreetly leaves the house uh, in a vain attempt to return to the sanatorium, which is where I believe that's the hospital. Yeah.
Yeah, where she was getting her.
Um, right. And at the test site, Jiro is distracted from his success by a gust of wind, and this part like shattered me. But essentially suggesting that Nahoko has passed away. But yeah, he is going through all of this success, and he just like looks, and he kind of like zones out for a second, and you could just tell like something is wrong, something happened, and again, going back to just like the wind, there's something in the wind, and man, it really gripped me and just shredded me apart in that moment.
Yeah,
Uh, but yes, and again, wrapping out the story, in 1945, after Japan has lost World War II, Jiro dreams of Caproni again, regretting that his plane was used for war. Caproni comforts him, saying that Jiro's dream of building beautiful airplanes was nonetheless realized in the form of his masterpiece, the A6M Zero fighter.
Yeah.
And Hoko's spirit also appears, encouraging her husband to live on. After her spirit departs, Jiro and Caproni walk together in their shared kingdom of dreams, and all's well in the world, and that is The Wind Rises. What a movie. So final thoughts. Usman, I'm sure you've seen this movie, plenty of times, and if you rewatch it for this show, or if the most recent time you watch it, how does it hold up? What are your final thoughts rewatching it now compared to the first time?
Ah,
I know it's a loaded question.
great question. I think I understand the struggle more now. Uh, the the obsession to get it done, and then eventually getting it done, and also realizing what a fleeting moment that is, where you finally achieved what you set out to achieve, and it washes over you, and then it's gone, and you're like, oh, now what? The wind rises. Like I went along with Jiro on that journey. At first, it was aspirational when I watched it. Now I related to it more.
Mm.
Uh, I would say 12 years later. Wow, it's been 12 years since it came out.
Yeah.
I I also remember the feeling that it gave me when I first saw it. Like there were pockets of that throughout where I felt those same emotions, but it's matured for me in a way that I didn't really expect. So like even right now when we were talking about it and you were going through most of the plot points, I could see it in my head. Like I've seen it so many times, but it's I don't know why. Like I haven't gotten sick of it yet. I've gotten sick of my own movie because I've watched that at least 300 times now.
Yeah.
Um, but I think these movies are an escape, and they always will be. And there's just something magical. There's some form of alchemy that he puts into his work that I admire from a distance. I don't know many people on this planet who have the ability that he has. He's like Mozart. Like the
Yeah.
very few people are going to come along that'll have this magical ability to make things. And there are people like that in live action as well, like Steven
Mhm.
Spielberg, Scorsese, they're Terrence Malick even. They just
Mhm.
have this magical ability to capture things. But I think there's a mystery element to Miyazaki and his work because he's so shut off and isolated, that makes it all the more wondrous for me. And The Wind Rises still has that feeling.
For sure. Yeah, I completely agree with everything that you said.
Yeah.
Pelton, I'm curious, having it, it being your first time watching this, what did you think?
It's interesting because watching this for the first time in 2025, there was a little movie that came out a year or two ago that is very similar in my eyes.
Mm,
Oppenheimer.
mm,
I was
Yes.
the
Yes.
whole
yeah,
movie.
Yes.
I kept drawing parallels to it's a man who creates a technical marvel and then is haunted by his own creation.
mhm.
You know, I when I saw Oppenheimer for the first time, I thought, my God, this is The Wind
Right?
Rises.
This is the
Yeah, like it
Rises.
totally is.
Yes.
Now I think the biggest difference, and it's been less than 24 hours since I've seen The Wind Rises, so I'm still sitting with it and still kind of thinking through the ending. Is in Oppenheimer, I feel like the ending you could argue is more bleak,
Yeah.
where he was haunted by this creation all the way
Yeah,
till death, and it's like he has brought on something that the world will never recover from, and he has to live with that, and he died with it.
yeah,
And then this ending, while it does have elements of that, there is also a theme of acceptance.
Yes.
Yeah, and accepting that, hey, at the end of the day, he got to create this beautiful design, and he's almost okay with, not okay with the ramifications of it, but how it ended up being used, if that makes sense.
mm,
Yeah.
Acceptance is the best word to describe
Yes.
it. Do
yeah,
you think, and this is a question for both of you actually, the way that I'm not trying to romanticize anything, it's just an observation.
sure.
The the acceptance and kind of peace that they have in especially the East, compared to romanticizing the dark and broody nature of artists and just the world in the West. What are your thoughts on that? Because I find that there's a much more balanced subtlety and nuance, like in, say, The Wind Rises or Japanese storytelling, compared to Western storytelling. As an observer, because I'm not part of either world, I'm like
Mhm.
somewhere else. Uh, and consuming both content. What are your thoughts on that?
I will say I think there is a very big similarity between the two, but one does have a theme of acceptance where I think one arguably doesn't. Not that one
Mhm.
is better than the other. It's just,
Yeah,
very
they're both
different
different.
end.
Yeah,
Exactly, completely different endings. Now, to answer your earlier question, I am a big Oasis fan. So I take the Noel Gallagher approach almost, where
Mm.
he has often said writing dark or writing cynical is almost easier than
Yeah,
writing a convincing positive ending.
Right.
So when you have a movie like this where you have the main character that accepts his work and everything that happened after his design, and as an audience member, I also accepted it. And having to sit with, why did I just accept that? Why did that work
Mm.
for me?
yeah,
Because if you think about it, it's the Axis powers. This went on to kill millions of people. This is a terrible creation. But when you're watching it, you fully understand how he comes to that conclusion. And I also came to that conclusion. So it's something that you're right, it's not seen in a lot of Western
yeah,
society because I think an ending of, hey, like he made the nuclear bomb. This is a net negative.
Hmm.
yeah,
This writes itself, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
something that
It's
it's sitting with me currently after having just watched the movie for the first time. It's probably going to be something that sits with me for weeks and months when I often think about this movie is how he came to that ending and why it works.
mm,
yeah,
yeah, because it's a yeah, like you said, it's a hard ending to get to because you can get there but it not be as convincing.
Of
But
course.
there's something about it, and I feel like there's something in a lot of the Ghibli movies that you get to the end and you're like, I don't know how they stuck that landing, but they really stuck it. And
yeah,
it's just a testament to the filmmaker. It's a testament to the character arcs and the storytelling and all of it. For me, like final thoughts on this. I again, it's just incredible. I've gushed over this movie the past hour and a half. But everything Miyazaki does, I've loved thus far, and all the things that I haven't seen, like I'm excited to watch. And the score is incredible, the artistry is incredible, the storytelling is incredible. One thing I wanted to this is so stupid. The one thing that I
Uh-oh.
wanted to mention that I didn't mention earlier because it's just not important and it's really stupid, but is Jiro's wardrobe. I was so into his outfits throughout this movie. It's
No, I get it. He had that
dude,
red
the
blazer at
the
one
pink
point and the
suit with the
yeah, it was
hat, and I was
sick.
like, this is awesome. And obviously that was very like meticulously thought out, and it's of the time, and the color scheme and all that stuff. So it's not stupid. It's very well like established. But I was just throughout the whole movie, I like couldn't stop. Like these guys' outfits are awesome.
the just the character design work they did in it
Yeah.
in is wonderful because if you keep watching it, like the point where Jiro it finally becomes an adult, and
Hmm.
then from that point till the end of the film, subtly he keeps getting slightly older.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Uh, his body, like the way they've drawn him, changes until finally, like when you see him in the beginning, where he's kind of he's much more narrow and his shoulders are much more like they're drawn softly. By the end, he has this broad chest with
Yeah.
his shoulders sticking out, but he's still wearing a similar wardrobe. But
Yeah.
like his demeanor has changed, so you feel that with the character as well. These great subtle storytelling things that they did that were very, very intentional, and I admired that so much. Like they cared about every little detail because they could have easily just kept him the same character design and it would have still been an incredible movie. But they
Sure.
went even further and just added all of these subtle things in, which is very cool.
Yeah. No, and one thing I noticed in the Glassworker too is like I believe it's called out in the documentary, but the desk that like over time,
Mhm.
as things change and as the life kind of moves on and it slowly becomes different and it's these very subtle things, but as you pick up on it, like it becomes, you start to notice that it's like a more believable world. And I really appreciated the detail there. That was great.
I was very particular about the color scheme. I
Mm,
said that we have to do a lot of visual storytelling. I don't want to
mm,
put in expositionary dialogue too much.
sure.
Obviously, there's some points where you cannot avoid it, but then doing it in a tactful way. But the environment played a huge part in the visual storytelling, and
Yeah.
you can see it go from this kind of magenta, purpley, bright highlights warm glow to this kind of sickly green
Hmm.
as the war kind of comes in before going back to the more hopeful look in the
Mhm.
end. So all of that was planned out, and thank you for noticing that.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's great, and I'm,
Yeah.
years of hard work, and it's definitely paid off because it's a wonderful film. So one final thought on The Wind Rises. Ready?
I
I
can't
can't
believe this
believe
got
this got
greenlit.
greenlit. Thank you all for listening. Thank you, Usman, again so much for being here. This, we've taken up a lot of your time, and we're so grateful to not only talk about The Wind Rises, because this has been wonderful for all of us to just gush over this wonderful film, but also to talk about The Glassworker. It's truly a wonderful film, and I'm so happy that it exists. I'm so happy that you put in the decade plus of doing all the infrastructure building, the animation, the composing, everything that you did to bring this film to life. And I'm so glad that AMC A-List exists so that I was able to literally scroll through and find the film, and it was awesome. So hats off to you. I'm so excited to see what Mano Animation does next. And yeah, consider two new fans, and we're along for the ride. So yeah, it's been a pleasure talking with you.
Yeah, thank you. This has been a treat for us. This has been really fun. Thank you for joining, and thank you for, you know what? Thank you for making the Glass Worker. Because a movie like this, genuinely, it inspires people like me and Nick, who are
Yeah,
still so early in this game and want to get to the point where you're at, and seeing it can be done. Even if it takes a decade, it
Yeah.
can be done eventually. So thank you for being on here, but thank you for inspiring us and probably hundreds of other people that got to see
yeah,
the Glass Worker.
yeah.
Oh, thank you. It means a lot. Thank you for having me, and yeah, it thank you for being moved by the film.
Thank you. You
This is
made
great.
it.
Yeah.
I'll
All
say
right.
I have one
Oh
last
yeah,
question. I'm sorry. Yeah.
please.
Yes.
I like to ask this of everyone we have on the show that, again, is a little further down the road than us. What kind of advice would you give to people who are just starting out, like me and Nick are?
That's a great question. I think that what I said earlier, um, it will be hard, and you just have to, if you really believe in what you're doing and you really want it to exist, you cannot let the darker times dishearten you. And it's okay to be upset by it, and it's normal to be sad and at some
Mhm.
points depressed, but you have to power on through because uh, everything passes. Even the good moments pass. What keeps you going and what should keep you going is the love for the craft. And I said this in one of the Q&As that we were doing with Watermelon Pictures. Somebody asked me a very similar question, and I said, loving something doesn't mean it's fun. At some point, the love for the craft and your obsession with the craft supersedes the enjoyment aspect of it, where there will be times where you're not enjoying it, but that doesn't mean you don't love it. So just keep that in mind.
Thank you.
Got it.
Appreciate that,
Cool.
Nick. Nick, let's go make a movie. What do you think? What do you
Yeah, yeah,
say?
let's do
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
We have 10 years to spare.
Yeah, we got it. Let's
Yes.
do
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
It's important
So
to start young too. I will say that. So if you want to start now, start.
yeah,
You never know what can happen. So just never give up and keep going.
yeah, love it.
Okay.
For the listeners, this was thankfully on our end, this was a spur of the moment episode. So I don't have any idea what the next episode of Greenlit is. So stay tuned. There will be more. We have our holiday episodes banked, so I'm sure those will be coming out. And thank you all for listening, and we will see you next week. Bye bye.
See ya.
This has been a Quaywood audio production.